So this is what we have. The spindle is floating about 2.5 and a little bit more millimeters, and I believe so. We were lucky that we have schematics. Here are the two axial bearings. My suspicion is this bearing, the inner one, axial bearing, is either is missing or something is missing, because the spindle goes this way too much, or can go this way. Now it's a little bit out, but it can go too much in, which means it's not this bearing, it's this one. And when I started to disassemble the lathe, I pulled the bearing out, or the part of the bearing, this guy, and it says this on it. And that bearing has a specific geometry to it. My suspicion is this washer, the U209, is missing. And if we subtract this value from this one, we are missing about 2.7 millimeters, which is roughly what I am missing when I tighten everything up, or when it was tightened. It floated inwards about 2.5–3 millimeters. My suspicion is, or hope, that whoever assembled previously the bearing pack missed out on this washer. So let's see. Right, so here's our situation. I pulled the rear bearing seat out, and it took 2 M8s to draw it out. So anyways, it's not what I expected, right? So this is the rear bearing. Now, I may be wrong, but on the one side it says 53,209, so 51/53,209. On the other side says 51/52,209. I am not sure this was supposed to be like that. Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. I'm not really sure. But kind of unexpected to have both markings on the same bearing. So the inner one again says 53,209, right? So 51/53,209. And the mating part, so this goes forward, right? See, it's like this. And this is the axial bearing that I was expecting to have missing the washer. And here's what we see. Someone, when assembling or reassembling this side of the bearing, someone punched to raise to sort of squeeze the bearing in. I am not sure why someone would do that. We'll see. I think this is both wrong, and we should have on both sides the adjustable washers, because this doesn't have to be perfectly aligned with the spindle. and that what these washers. Maybe someone didn't have those, so they used like 4 sets of bearings to install it. So this doesn't have to be perfectly 90 degrees to the spindle, and it will still seat perfect to for what the application was meant to for the bearing. So if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna try to source correct parts, what I think are correct parts. If not, I'm going to go with the 53 with this guy, and its accompanying washer. I'm gonna have to go to my source and talk to them and see what they have and what they think of it. Yeah, so other than that, she's in the shop. It took some disassembly because she couldn't fit through the door. And this girl was delivered to BMW in 1943. So, as I expected, it does not go as easily out as I hoped, maybe because of these burrs. Someone upset the material to squeeze it in, so I need to press it out. If I only had a shop press. So I was wrong, and here's the situation. In here, there, the lathe belonged to school previously, and in this case it doesn't mean anything good, because kids were obviously practicing reassembly of complex machinery. This isn't a complex lathe, but still, for them it was. Almost all, even the back of the spindle was chowdered, and it was, somebody hit it with something. Also, the spacer was missing, the whole spacer, like about 20 millimeter of spacer was missing. Here's how this situation looks like. So this spacer is here, but someone made it from cast iron. This spacer was missing, and I'm not sure about its exact dimensions. What I did is I reinstalled this spacer here. I gave it a little bit of polishing. For this spacer, I bought this part number, which is 45 millimeter. No, I'm sorry. This is the other one. Yeah, I installed this one. It has the outer diameter of 55. It's a needle bearing inner race. Yeah, and it's really nicely polished for this here lip seal. There's a rubber lip seal. However, the 20 something millimeters for the old cast iron ring or spacer, plus these 22 millimeters is a little bit too long. However, not too long that the lathe is now rubbing or anything. So, but it's really close. How close? Well, here. See? Space between the spacer and this flange is not flange. The way I see it now, it's a gear sleeve. From this gear here, space between these two, yeah, it's as close as on the drawing. It's about 0.05 of a millimeter apart, and this is free floating. This has to in upper speeds. This has to go really faster than the spindle. However, axial bearings are there, these two. This is a ball bearing 6309. These ones are 51209. And that's it. The pack is in there. This lathe wasn't loved. It was in the school, and high schoolers just were playing with it. I don't know why, but this is the situation.